Today on the Diz List, we discuss our top 5 heroes in Walt Disney Animation.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon. Just kidding. Oh, my gosh.
So, before we get...
Today, we're going to do the top 5 Disney animated characters. Nick, go ahead. Why are we starting off so weird?
So, I'm having some deja vu.
We're not technically starting right now, are we?
No, we've finished, and my wonderful co-host, Rob, deleted the entire opening to the show.
But I didn't delete it. Like, I saved the file, we reopened it, and it was empty. I didn't hit I don't know. I'm sure I did something wrong, but
I mean, were they there?
No.
They're gone.
Yeah.
They went into the ether.
Well, this intro is now way funnier than what we had before.
Yeah. Forget Epcot merch. Let's talk about how Rob doesn't know how to use a computer.
Oh, my Lord. I thought I did. Man, I was doing so well. And watch, this one will get deleted too.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up one will just be like, welcome to the Diz List. And then like the song, and then we go into the break.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What a start.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I mean, and
I'm a little
Rob,
frustrated.
Yeah. Rob pointed out that it was like what I did yesterday for my soccer practice.
Oh, this is funny too.
For 15 years, we have had practices on this one field, folks. 15 years. 15 years of muscle memory. You leave the building, you turn right, you walk up a hill, you set up your practice. I set up my practice, had it all set up, ready to go, all the cones out, all the poles out, everything ready to go. Where's my team? Oh, yeah. We have a brand new turf field that I had to turn left to go to, not right. That I had to then pick up my entire practice worth of cones. Everything was all set. I was so proud of myself, too, because I had everything set up. I'm like, we can knock this practice out really quickly. Get the girls out so they can go and cheer on the boys' team because they were playing early. Nope. Instead, I had to take all the practice down and then walk all the way down to the other field, which is not easy to walk to right now because it's a construction zone. But yeah.
Well, here's a suggestion for you. So now you need to think about going to your practice like when you show up at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Do you go right and go to Tomorrowland, which is dated and old and you don't want to go there? Or do you want to go left and you want to go to Adventureland?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so you just got to go to Adventureland, I guess.
I walked the wrong way. You pressed delete. Who knows?
I don't know what I pressed.
It was.
I think I pressed the eject button and the computer just. I don't know.
It was pretty funny though.
Anyway, this is a way better intro, so folks don't feel like, well, I missed the discussion of the Epcot merch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
there's a really ugly shirt that's white with rainbow paint
that they look like they dipped in something. So that
everything
was one
else.
thing.
Everything else is cool.
We talked about how we liked the Figment shirt that looked like a coloring book,
and the 25-pound pins.
Yeah, and they have these giant pins that don't make sense.
That's what we talked about, folks.
So you didn't miss anything.
Hey, we do want to add though before we actually do start our list. Please go onto social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at DizListPod. When you see us post about this show, make sure you leave your comments about your favorites as well. Leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to find out more about how to support us, you can go ahead and check out anchor.fm/thedizlist. That's anchor.fm/the-diz-list. Thank you guys so much because this was pretty bonkers what just happened.
Yeah. Thanks for rolling with us. And I swear, part 2 is already saved. It's really good and it's really funny. Like I looked back and we listened back to it. I'm like, that was kind of a funny episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you enjoy it and we'll see you after the break. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
So in order to get our podcast started, we needed some way to get it out for everybody to hear. So what we decided to do was go online and look around and try to find someone who can distribute our podcast to all the main services for us. We did a little research and we found that the best one was Anchor. Now, Anchor's a Spotify company, And Spotify is something that I use every day, but it also goes to other platforms. It's an easy way to make a podcast, and everything is right there in the app. So, for example, Anchor has tools that you can record, edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. If you don't have any professional editing software, you can do it right there on your phone. When you host your podcast on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all the different listening platforms. I do Spotify, but you can also do Apple Podcasts and many more. Okay, students, let's review. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. If you don't have all the equipment and all the computer editing software, you can do it right on your phone. And the best part is, it's free, like free, which is great for sure. Go and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Go for it.
Welcome back from the Blockbuster Video Halftime Show.
I used to work there.
Really?
Is that how we got the sponsorship?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I worked at Blockbuster Video when I went to college in Buffalo.
Do you know there's one remaining? That's it.
In Portland, Oregon? Or somewhere near there?
Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's outside of Portland, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I worked at Blockbuster from about 1997 to 2000. And true story, and I can't remember what player, but I was talking to Nick last night about meeting different hockey players.
Yeah.
I think it's Matt Barnaby. I don't know, but I would work at
Matthew
this.
Barnaby.
I think it was him, but I'm not sure. If I were to look at the roster of Sabres from like the year 1999, 98-ish,
Yeah.
the guy would come in and he had like overdue late fees, and he came in, shorter guy, blonde hair,
definitely.
Yeah, put his video up, and I mean, I was a Sabres fan, but like I don't really memorize what every single player looks like.
Right.
Put his videos down. I scanned it, and then his name came up, and this is a really bad story because I don't remember which specific player it was.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. It was definitely a time in my life where things were a little cloudy. So anyway, Sabres players, plural, him and a few other would come into our Blockbuster
Pay their
video.
late fees.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anywho, yeah, so funny that you said Blockbuster Video there. Anyway, so here's my question to you before we begin today.
Yeah, shoot.
Can you give our listeners a definition of what hero pool we are choosing from and our discussion leading up to all that?
Yeah, I mean, we had decided to do this show basically because we wanted to do, really what it comes down to, we wanted to do a villain show. And we thought it'd be cool to do a heroes, then a villains. So it's kind of a two-part series. I know it's different from what we usually do with park stuff, but we had discussed specifically, what do we do here if we're doing heroes? Like, can we select Luke Skywalker? And then
I do Captain America?
Right, and then you start thinking, it's like, well, if you can do a whole 5-part series on Star Wars alone. So we got into thinking, well, what kind of traditional Disney animation heroes? So our pool is Disney or Disney adjacent, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not MCU, not Star Wars, but certainly, Pixar is open. It's fair game. Just you're not going to choose, like we can't go with Luke. We can't go with, like you say, Captain America.
Yeah, and if we get to a point where we just had the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but if there's a big Star Wars film release, maybe we'll do a Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
I have some buddies who are huge Star Wars fans too. I know they're going to want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to get started?
Yeah, sure. So this it was not easy, but it was fun at the same time. So I started going through, and what I did was I looked up a list of Walt Disney animation, and I literally went from the very beginning to Snow White all the way through, and just kind of went through every movie and thought, okay, who's the hero in this one? Does that hero mean something to me? Did it have an effect on me? Do I think that this one either meant a lot, or, I mean, everyone's going to have kind of their different definition.
Yeah.
Like, does it mean a lot to you, or do you just think it's the hero had the biggest impact?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this episode is very different from what we normally do.
Yeah, and that's why
I had a lot of fun researching for it.
Me too.
It was kind of fun.
And some of them, I'll be honest, I did pairs of two because they kind of work together within the same movie.
Sure.
So
Sidekick.
Exactly. So a lot of times I'll lump the two together. So you'll see that as I get through my list a little bit too.
Cool.
Also, I do have a lot of honorable mentions,
Okay.
which I won't spend a ton of time on each one, but there's a lot that I thought were great that I at least wanted to do like specific shout outs and ones that were very close to making my list. So, number 5. Number 5 is one that I'm connected to in a lot of different ways. Has this particular character. You really get to see growth throughout the movie. You get to see mistakes made and kind of this rise to heroics. And this person could really actually go higher on my list too. But there's so many other good ones that I chose. My number 5 is going to be Simba from The Lion King.
Okay.
Because we see that growth. We see kind of these mistakes and he's getting fooled and he rises up and takes over and I just spoiled Lion King, didn't I?
Uh-oh.
We should do a spoiler alert at the beginning.
Spoiler alert, if you've never seen Lion King, this episode's not for you.
Man, I just spoiled the Lion King. Man, should I not tell them about what happens to Simba's father?
Yeesh.
Man, see, I spoil
It's
everything.
definitely not like Bambi.
I spoil everything.
Yeah,
man.
you do.
Holy cow. Yeah, so my number 5 is definitely Simba, and there's some other characters in there that definitely demonstrate heroics. Nala definitely. Timon and Pumbaa in that movie are all great heroes, but I think the one that stands out most for me is probably Simba. I love the music in that. We go over how much we like Lion King and we like the Lion King show, and it's just a fantastic movie and some of the best music ever in a film, in my opinion.
It's my favorite movie from Walt Disney Animation.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah, we haven't done a top movies, but that's probably going to be in there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
It's so good.
Simba is a great hero. I'll talk about Simba later.
I bet you will. I figured. Who'd you have for 5 then?
My number 5 is definitely an alt Disney.
Okay.
So I picked my hero list. You were discussing how is it something we see in ourselves?
Sure.
So I went with something we see in myself, but also thing like heroes that I felt really taught a good lesson. Okay, and I think that my number 5 was taught the lesson, and therefore teaches it throughout the movie, and that is Jack Skellington.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's Touchstone Pictures, which was still Disney. It's a Disney animation film, so that definitely counts.
Yeah. So Jack, recognizes his faults at the end and realizes that he was selfish. But really what he did is he saved more than one holiday, right? Think about this. Like, we have all these movies about saving Christmas, and then along comes Jack Skellington, and you've got him saving Halloween and Christmas. Yeah. Like, I love Jack Skellington. I love the movie. It's a great movie. He recognized his own faults by the end. I think that particular film is just so well done in general.
Oh, yeah.
But the lessons that you can learn from Jack Skellington is, grass isn't always greener. And you think back, as a kid, people would say that saying, grass isn't always greener on the other side. And you didn't really get it. And you watch that movie and it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now.
Yep.
So I don't know. Jack Skellington is my number 5. Don't have a ton of more on Jack, but yeah, I love that guy.
Fun fact about him, you may or may not know this. Do you know who does the voice for Jack Skellington?
I did at a time. I can't remember.
It's Danny Elfman.
There you go.
He's the composer of the music for the film.
Yeah.
Well, along with, come on, why am I forgetting his name now? The director and writer is Tim Burton. Thank you. And Danny Elfman does the music for most of his films, all the way back to his very first film, which is one of my favorite movies ever, and that's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, Danny Elfman sings and performs. And again, I'm struggling today with coming up with. He was in what group? He fronted an '80s new wave alternative group. You gonna look it up for me? Yeah, Danny Elfman fronted a band in the '80s, and then kind of made that transition into doing music for movies because he was friends with Tim Burton. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Oingo Boingo.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a deep cut.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that group, but you know,
Right.
hey, it is what it is.
So what do you got for number 4?
So number 4 is it's one that doesn't get a lot of recognition in the world of Disney, and some Disney fans don't like the film because it uses recycled footage from other movies, and I'll get there in a minute. I don't know if you know about this or not. It's kind of cool fun fact. You don't see much in the parks from this movie.
Okay.
This person I chose is an anti-hero. So this person robs from the rich and gives to the poor, and that is Robin Hood.
Gotcha.
You don't see much Robin Hood in the parks. You don't see a lot of it. And I'm sure most listeners are familiar with the story of Robin Hood, you know, robbing from the rich, stealing from the poor. I really like that movie. When I was young, that's back when we had the soft VHS tapes. You remember? You could squeeze them. And I would watch that one all the time, and I would sing along with the rooster at the beginning of the movie, Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. Yep. I love that movie, but there's so much footage. If you look this up on YouTube, I watched a documentary on this. It's like a short YouTube documentary, and it shows that a lot of the footage in this movie was recycled from Jungle Book specifically, especially with Baloo and Little John are essentially the same character.
Yeah, they might as well
right?
be the same thing.
Yep. The elephants that were in Jungle Book and the elephants that are guards. Yep.
I got to watch this documentary.
And there's one where Maid Marian is dancing, and I think it's footage from one of the Disney princesses dancing. It could be Snow White dancing with the dwarves. I can't remember.
They just like superimposed?
Yeah, so they were, I think during that time period, there was kind of a shift with who was working for Walt Disney Animation.
Okay.
And they reused a lot of the movements that they had done earlier on. They did, studies on the movement of dance and all these different things, and they kind of, went from what they had previously and traced over top. And
it ain't broke.
Yeah. Which I don't have a huge problem with. I always say I think if you're tracing something, you're still learning something from it, and it's similar to like using a calculator in math.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. That's a good movie. I didn't even think of that because I did my list a little bit differently than you. With you going through the whole list, I wouldn't have even thought of that movie.
Yeah, I felt like I had to look at everything. I had to lay all the cards out, and then
absolutely.
That's why my honorable mention list is so long.
Right. Yeah. So my number 4 is probably because I am a girl dad and also because I coach girls. And my number 4 is also my favorite character meet and greet, and that's Merida.
Oh, I thought about that too.
So Merida is like the Disney princess that doesn't care about the boy, right? In every other Disney movie where the princess is involved, it's like, oh, I'm saved by the guy kissing me, or I'm turned into a princess now because
those were all written by guys.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's why.
Yeah, Merida is
from
strong.
the female perspective.
She's
it's
strong.
Great. Yeah.
She certainly has her faults, but she's actually the one saving everybody else. I mean, brave, right?
Great movie.
The familial relationship that they have in that movie. And I'm telling you right now, that meet and greet in Magic Kingdom in her little, I don't know what you want to call it there, but that little
nook.
Yeah, the alcove or whatever is so cool. And probably the best face character interaction that I've seen my kids have.
Yeah,
with Merida.
And I think just the accent takes you to a different place. Yeah. When you meet her and you see, and when you go to that meet and greet, like her Scottish accent is like thick.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great because as soon as you hear her talk, you're like, whoa, that is cool.
And I'm sure people from Scotland are like, what the heck? This is so bad.
That's way off. Yeah.
But it's good enough for us.
Your average American or Canadian is going to go, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite, we'll call it modern movies by Disney. It's well done as far as the animation goes. I think the story is great. It's relatively original. Certainly, like I said, the only princess I can think of, off the top of my head anyway, that is the real hero, right? All the way through, it's about her being strong, strong-willed, strong-minded, unapologetic
You forgot one, and we'll get to that later on my list,
Okay. All right.
which is good. There's one more.
Fine. Okay.
And I forgot yours, too, so we're even.
Okay, good.
Yours
All
is
right.
great, too.
All right.
And
But
you'll say
you
the
know,
same when I get
yeah.
to mine.
Just as a girl dad, you got to love Merida.
Yeah, definitely.
And, I think she's super strong and super awesome. And
Yeah, great character.
that's why she makes my number 4.
Absolutely. So my number 3 is not the one I was alluding to a second ago.
Okay.
My number 3 is a pair. Great. It's separately, they're great. Together, it's chocolate and peanut butter here. Okay, they're very different, but they work great together. And when I was putting the list together, I'm like, is this going to count? Because this is from a Pixar movie, but it's a Pixar movie that's always been part of Disney,
Yep.
and literally one of the biggest IPs in Disney. I would even say ever at this point. They made an entire land after Woody and Buzz.
Yeah.
Woody and Buzz, I think, are great heroes. You know, they want to do the best for everybody. And even though Buzz, he really cares and he's kind of this clueless character, which, I can kind of identify with, making mistakes, but like caring about the important thing and saying dumb stuff. That's me sometimes, and it's fair. It's fine. Mm-hmm. And then Woody cares about everybody that's in the toy box and wants to do the right thing and tries really hard. So I think they're a great pair because they're together, except for the Lightyear movie, which I liked, by the way. Did you end up watching the Lightyear movie?
Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a traditional Toy Story guy.
I'd give it a B plus though. It was funny. There were some really funny moments in that. That cat was one of the greatest characters.
Yes. Yep.
I love that cat. Anyway, so yeah, Buzz and Woody are my number 3.
Can we keep talking about Woody since it's my number 3?
Really?
Yeah. Of all of the heroes, not only do we match up on this, but we put the hero at the same ranking. That's bizarre.
You have just Woody though.
I have just Woody.
We'll count it as both. Why not?
Well, sure, yeah.
It's the same idea. It's the same character, same movie.
I think the reason that I identify Woody as a hero is that he really is selfless at the end. By the end, he becomes, at first he's so upset that like his spotlight is getting taken, but then he comes around to the idea of, saving everybody else.
Yeah, there's an acceptance in Woody's character.
Yeah, and
he okay, I get that I'm a toy, and here's my role.
Right.
Yeah.
I can count on one hand the number of times I've cried watching a freaking animated movie. But
was it Toy Story 3? I think I was just a mess.
Yeah.
Was it 3?
Yeah,
that's the one with the daycare
it's so bad where they leave where he
donate the toys.
Oh my god,
that was so sad.
He goes off to college.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cry right now. But Woody, I like. I also like the fact that Woody is just like kind of the aw shucks character too, like in parts of it. And he's the unwilling hero at times. I guess I didn't think of putting things together as a pair. Had I thought of doing that, certainly Buzz and Woody together make like their faults make up for each other's, right? So, or their not their faults make up for each other. So their positivity, like the things that make them heroes, offset each other's faults.
Yes.
So I think that was when you think back to that movie franchise, I think it's brilliant. When you really get down to it, the fact that we have two characters who are heroes in completely different ways, and the ways that they are heroes offset the faults of the other in a brilliant way.
And they're from two totally different worlds. But the funny thing too is, if you look back to 1950s and 1960s pop culture, maybe a little earlier, probably before the 60s, is when cowboys and at the time cowboys and Indians, I'm using that in quotes because I don't really like to use that term anymore.
Right.
But that's what it was called at the time. But the cowboy was kind of that hero through the 1950s. And then once the 60s took over, we started doing space exploration.
Yeah.
And we kind of got that sort of comparison between those two characters. The cowboy kind of transitioned into this futuristic hero, which was the astronaut and space exploration. So it's cool that they're both kind of working together in that sense. I don't know. I know we're looking deep into it, but I guess if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you care about that stuff.
Yeah, I think I think what's important about Woody and Buzz in general is that it's for an entire generation was or is like an icon, right? So the interesting thing is that we grew up with Toy Story. And when I say that, I don't mean, oh, we had it growing up. I mean, we literally, every movie was released. As it released, it got more grown up as it goes.
Yeah.
And you get to the end, and it's like you can watch those with your kids and still be entertained because it's Woody and Buzz. And you can identify having to leave things behind, you know, as you went off to college. And in many ways, I thought I almost put Andy on the list as opposed to Woody.
Yeah,
because,
true.
I mean, Andy giving up his toys and growing up along the way. So I just love the movie, and I think it's amazing that we both, out of all the heroes that we could have picked from, both landed on Woody and Buzz at number 3. So that's kind of cool.
One last thing I'll comment on what you
Yeah,
just said.
sure.
This is interesting too, is that as you watch Toy Story, the toys stay the same, but the humans age. So if we, like, let's say they make a Toy Story 8 or 9,
Yeah.
those characters are the same, but everyone else around them changes. That's kind of fascinating.
It is. It's one of the only franchises that they can do that with.
I know one more, and it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
R2-D2 and
Oh,
C-3PO.
yeah.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
They stay the
They
same.
stay the same. Everybody else ages.
Yeah, it's cool. And you can use them consistently all the way through.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more, and people are yelling at their stereos. What about so and so?
I've got another one.
Yeah.
I've got another one, so that's okay.
Go for it.
No, not yet.
Okay,
It's on my list.
Fair enough. Sounds good. So my number 2 is what we were talking about earlier. Strong female lead is the hero of the whole story. This movie with this hero has been made twice. One time it is animated. One time it has been done in live action. It was released during the pandemic, and it features one of the strongest characters that will not give up and is the hero of the story, and that is Mulan.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good one. Mulan is a great hero.
Yes. I totally forgot that Mulan is also not being saved by a man.
Yeah. She has to prove herself that I can fight with the rest of these men. I will dress up as a man and prove to all of you that I am just as good, if not better than all of you. To prove.
Yeah. What's your take on which one is better, the animated hero or the live action hero?
I didn't love the live action one.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
didn't think it was necessarily bad. I liked sort of the magical element that they added at the end. Most people didn't like that. I think if you're going to remake something and you're a director, you want to put your own spin on it. Like if you're a band and you're doing
Yeah,
a
like
cover
putting
song.
tentacles on Monstro.
Not that crazy. I was okay with that additional character that was sort of friends with Pinocchio, but like, I don't know. Some of it was a bit too much for me in that movie.
Yeah.
But I prefer the original, the cartoon version.
I agree.
I miss having Mushu. Mushu's an awesome character. One of my favorite Disney characters too. So hilarious. And Creaky, I think, is the name of the cricket.
Yeah, I can't remember. The
I think
name
so.
of it,
But I miss those characters, and that's kind of one of the nice things about movies like that, where you can have adventure, but then there's also laughs in there too. Marvel does that really well. Indiana Jones, the original Star Wars movies, they have, elements of adventure and excitement and thrill, but then all of a sudden you have, Short Round makes a joke, or R2 or 3PO does something funny and you laugh. And that's what I liked about Mulan, is that Eddie Murphy comes in and makes a comment and makes everybody crack up. And I think if you were to ask A and B, I think I would choose A for the animated one for that element. It was a little bit more fun. So that's
Have you
my
met? Have
Go
you
ahead.
met Mulan?
Have I met? No, I have not. Where does Mulan do a meet and greet?
I have never met Mulan, but I've seen Mulan a lot in like the
Epcot?
in Epcot in not the parades. When during the pandemic when they did the impromptu cavalcades, I guess the princess cavalcades.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, number 2, I think it's a fantastic character. And
I totally forgot about
a great
that movie.
one for women and young girls to look up to, and young men.
Yeah.
I look up to the character too. Doesn't have to be just women looking up to a strong female character.
True.
All right. So what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is the other one that doesn't age.
Ah.
Pan.
Oh, right. That was on my list. I moved him around a little bit.
Yeah.
I had Peter Pan on my list,
So
too.
you think about an amazing leader, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Peter Pan is an amazing leader. First off, I don't know that there's a better hero villain tag team like going on.
See
thing.
that?
Like,
well, you just made up another episode for
Right.
us.
because Pan versus Hook is probably the most iconic like battle back and forth, right? I mean, yeah, you've got Buzz with Zurg. Okay, well, that's some fictional thing, but
Right,
here
but
you've
Zurg
got
doesn't have
yeah,
as much screen time, and
Yeah.
they don't develop that character as much as they develop
right,
Hook.
Right. So I think that when you dive into that movie, I think Peter Pan is just first of all, he's living out every person's dream, right? Is I don't want to grow up. I'm done adulting. Let's just. I mean, that's why we're into Disney, right? You can say what you want. Oh no, I'm a Disney adult. I like this. We're into Disney because it's reminiscent of our childhood, right? It's nostalgia.
Yep, and it's magical and happiness.
Exactly. And Peter Pan is that hero for me because he gets to stay young. The way he leads the Lost Boys throughout the movie, just the fact that it's basically one big message of like, it's okay to dream. It's okay to go after your dreams. It's okay to do all those things. I love the movie. I don't watch it. I haven't watched it enough. I really haven't.
I don't think I've watched it in probably 20 years.
Yeah, it's been so long. And I know that I put, like, for instance, I put Peter Pan's Flight on my most overrated list that we did a while back. But overrated just means that people rate it too highly.
It doesn't mean it's bad.
I myself rate that ride pretty highly.
Yeah.
I just don't want to wait 80 minutes for it.
Yeah.
It is, I think, a very well used IP in Disney.
Oh, yeah.
It's not overused,
No.
but it's used.
Well, it was at one point. I think Tinkerbell was way overused for a while.
Yeah.
Now they've dialed it back, and there's just the right amount of Tinkerbell now.
Yeah. And I think, have you ever seen Pan running through Magic Kingdom or anything like that?
No.
So he does it more in Disneyland from what I've heard. But I have seen Peter Pan run through Magic Kingdom. My first trip there, I'm walking down Main Street. I get just about to the hub, and you see Peter Pan coming. He's got his, I don't know, what do you want to
The
call him?
sword?
No.
Oh, that would be funny.
But I guess you can call them the handlers. You know what I'm saying? The people that walk with the characters.
Yeah.
And it's Magic Kingdom. It's pretty mobbed. And you see the little kids' faces light up, and he grabs the hand of this little kid, and they start skipping through the hub.
That's great.
And I'm like, what an amazing memory. I feel like they have the best actors portray Peter Pan in the parks.
Definitely.
They do a great job with it. I love the story of Peter Pan. I love everything about their use of him within the parks. It's he doesn't age, and I would love that.
I like the fact that he's a rule breaker.
Yeah.
But the rules that he's breaking are the rules that like are set up almost kind of like by grown-ups.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to break all that rules, but he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So it's similar to like kind of Robin Hood where like
Yeah.
I don't care about this stuff's stupid, but I'm going to do the right. I don't know. I like that combo.
Yeah, I'm going to do the right thing.
Fight the power for the right reason.
Yeah.
I
I think everybody can identify a little bit with Peter Pan, and that's why it's such an iconic movie and an iconic story.
Definitely. All right, good choice. Peter Pan's a good one, and he's on my honorable mentions. And I'm not going to spend too much time on the honorable mentions because there's a lot of them. But we got to get to our number 1 here. Number 1.
Okay.
I switched these around so many times, but this one definitely stands out as one that means a lot to me. It's one of my favorite Disney movies, and this particular character starts off at the very beginning of the movie going through a change and a metamorphosis. And this character is very angry and very much the bad guy. But through time and learning through a very strong female character, changes and becomes the hero of the whole story. And that is Beauty and the Beast, specifically the Beast.
Okay.
So I like the Beast a lot. And I like the fact that he can change. I mean, not that I'm coming up with any kind of crazy pun here, but he's upset because he was transformed. He's this beast living in the castle, and through looking at life through a different lens and meeting new people, specifically Belle, kind of showing him how life can really be great. Yes, of course, love is involved, but like at more of a bigger level here, we're looking at the fact that he's seeing life completely differently. He doesn't have to be angry, and she loves him for him and not being this like ugly beast. And then, Gaston and everybody comes and he becomes the hero and saves the day. So my number one, I love this movie. I love the music, everything about it. I'm going to go with the Beast from Beauty and the Beast is my number one.
So you're, just so we're clear, your number one is a guy who kidnaps somebody and takes them hostage.
But yes, and I will be clear about that he goes through a metamorphosis and a change and ends up being the hero at the end of the movie. So I'll explain that part again. I get your point completely.
Yeah.
It's showing that someone can change and someone can, let's say somebody has a problem with addiction or something, it shows that people can change and overcome and save the day and be a better person. I like that. I don't know. I like the way the story plays out.
I was just picking on you.
No, I know.
There's a lot of people who don't like the movie because of the whole reliance on like essentially the Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
She falls in love with her captor. I think Beast is kind of another one of those anti-hero hero sort of things going on, right? Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people embrace that movie and that character, is because he is very, very deeply faulted, but then in the end realizes, hey, this was, I don't know why I was like this. I kind of want to change for the better. And you see that early on when he's like asking help from the dishes and from, asking help from all of the side characters, which I think that they make the movie absolutely amazing.
Yep.
I would not have put the Beast on my list solely because I think that Belle's really the hero of that movie.
Yeah.
She saves the Beast.
She saves him, sure.
But I think it's a good pick. It's a good pick. My number one has kind of already been spoiled.
Oh, boy.
Because I said it was on my list and I haven't gotten to it yet.
So everyone is just turning off the podcast now?
Yep, you can turn it off now.
All right, see you guys later.
All right.
Wait, hang on. Let's start the theme music.
Okay.
All right. Guess the show's over.
What do we say?
What do we say at the end?
It's a great, big, beautiful.
That's all, folks. Is that what we say at the end?
That's all, folks.
Wait, so it's not really over.
Oh, okay.
You didn't get to do your number one.
Oh, my number one is Simba.
That's right. That was my number 5.
Yeah, I can't believe it's your number 5. Like, Simba for me is the best animated hero. Obviously, it's my number 1.
Well, I picked something really bad as my number 1 for ratings. That way, people can go online and we can argue about it.
I think I identify with Simba more than I can't remember which episode, but you had said that your son had asked you what Disney character you identified with the most.
Yeah, I said Barley.
Really?
I did. Barley, Barley, the guy who likes heavy metal and drives a van around.
Yeah. It's interesting because barley is kind of wheat adjacent, and your family is gluten free.
Yeah, that's true. That makes the character even more ironic.
No, so Simba I identify the most with, because of his relationship with his father. While brief, was very conflicted, right? And I think all men at some point have had that relationship with their father where they butt heads. And then they realize at some point, oh, wow.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, he was right all along.
He was right all along.
So
Oh, yeah.
the difference is for Simba, he has to come to that realization after his father is gone.
Yeah.
And the absolute message of that entire film is that, you know, inside of yourself you are more powerful than you think, right? You can overcome the challenges that were put forth, whether it be from family members, Scar, or within yourself because you think you had this role that you played in your father's death. I see so much of the human side of things where he's identified, you know, he blames himself for his dad's death. And we've all had stuff happen in our lives that was completely out of our control that we blame ourselves for.
Yeah.
And then he overcomes it and he returns the hero. Well, he doesn't return the hero. He comes back and becomes the hero. Like, he doesn't just waltz in to the Pride Lands and be like, oh, look, I'm back. He comes in and defeats this horrible villain in Scar, his uncle.
And the hyenas who are,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the hyenas are probably more of a fight than Scar.
Right. And the fact that, like, he's basically battling this inner demon, right? And that inner demon is personified within Scar. I know I'm getting really, like, deep on this one, but I just love the way they portray Simba when he returns. I think the film itself too, like, follows him along on this journey of growth, and he quite literally becomes his father, right? I mean, he looks similar, he acts in a very similar manner. I love the movie too. I mean, it's way up on my list of movies. I think I said earlier it's my number one animated.
Well, I'll ask you the same question you asked me. Do you
Mm-hmm.
prefer the original animated from the early 90s or the remake from, I was going to say Dave Filoni, but it's the other Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
I got to think about what his name is too.
So I love them both for different reasons. I think that of the live action remakes, that might be the best one. Personally, I think. I don't think I could say that I prefer it to the animated one, but it certainly is a very well done one. I think I would watch them for two totally different reasons. Do you know what I mean?
So it's a Jon Favreau who we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
who is kind of the mastermind behind The Mandalorian and the Boba Fett show too, with this guy named Dave Filoni. Not to get on too much of a Star Wars kick, but I think there's why I'm bringing it up. I'm pretty sure that the gigantic success of the Lion King remake led to Disney / Lucasfilm giving the green light to Jon Favreau and saying, here's the keys. You get to drive the Millennium Falcon now.
Yeah. I'm glad if that's what led to it. That's great. What do you think about that? About the live action?
I wasn't into it at first, and I thought it was stupid because I thought the Jungle Book one was stupid. I prefer the original.
Yeah, that was bad.
It was not good. And then when I knew they were going to create a new Lion King, and I love that movie and I love the songs, I thought, how are they going to make like real looking lions sing? I'm like, that's just going to be like stupid, like Air Bud or something. And I really,
Air Bud.
well, that's what I thought. And then we went to it and we saw it, and I'll tell you the way that Jon Favreau stitched that movie together and how realistic those characters look mixed with the songs, it just worked perfectly. I couldn't change anything.
Yeah, I can't say I prefer it to the animated one. I certainly can say that it is the best of the live action remakes, in my opinion.
I would say this. I would say it is probably the best digital animation I have ever seen. I don't know if I could say there's a movie. I'm trying to think Jurassic Park, Avatar, those characters, and none of them, I think there's one scene I remember Jon Favreau said there's one scene that's an actual like shot. Everything else is digitally animated. I can't think of a movie that has better, or that their animation looks more realistic, like real life.
Yeah, I
like
can't
it
think of
looks
one.
like a real lion is standing up and singing a song. And I'm really picky. I will watch all kinds of all types of movies with computer animation, and I'll turn to whoever I'm watching with and go, "That just doesn't look real to me."
Yeah.
Because it's too like the prequel trilogy from Star Wars. All of the animation is like it's almost too fluid, and everything kind of like bends too much. You know what I mean? Like they're over animating it. But I feel like
those movies are awful.
I know, agree. But I feel like somehow those animators at Walt Disney Studios, along with Jon Favreau, just crushed that movie.
Yeah. And they still stayed true to the original message and story.
Yeah. They added one song. There's one new song from Beyonce, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with that movie being played on loop. My youngest brother is 10 years younger than me, and he loved that movie as a kid. Like, if he was crying, put the movie in, and he was just going to be fine. We wore out the VHS copy. Like, we had to get another copy. That's how much it was watched. When they did the anniversary release on Blu-ray, I had to, like, I got it right away. It's like, I love everything. Everything Lion King, I love. It just brings back so many great memories of my childhood. And then Simba really is, I think, every man who's ever had that confliction in himself with his relationship with his father.
Yeah, on any level, really.
Yeah, and comes around to, like, recognizing their faults through the faults of the father. I think anybody who's had that relationship probably identifies with Simba the way that I do.
Yeah.
Simba is far and away my number one. Like, I'm telling you, when we decided to do this show, he went on my list first, and I knew I wasn't touching him.
Yeah. Well, he's on my list too, and I think we're definitely in agreement. After having this discussion, I feel like I should move him up, but hey, they're plugged in. I actually got it tattooed on my leg, so I can't go back now. Because getting tattoos removed I guess it's kind of painful. And I'm not really sure. I think technically our podcast has been over for a while. I'm still recording, but we did this.
Yeah, we ended it.
We ended it. So what is this? Is this kind of like the after credit scene?
Post log.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so what's your what?
I'm wondering.
You had a ton of. Go ahead.
I have honorable mentions, but is this like the post credit scene in a Marvel movie? Like, are people still listening?
I don't think so.
I don't think
anybody
either.
listens to us anyway.
No, I don't think anyone does. Anyway, all right, honorable mentions. I have quite a few of them. All right, I just clicked off of it here. Okay, here we go. My honorable mentions. This movie I really like, and I think it's kind of underrated, and it's Wreck-It Ralph and Felix.
Huh.
Great movie, right?
Yeah.
I like that movie. I got to go back and watch that one again. Another character who's not really that much of a huge hero, but one of my favorites, who is hero adjacent, is Flynn Rider. I think Flynn Rider is such. I mean, think of my personality.
Yeah.
Think of Flynn Rider. We're very.
I love when they are posting like the pictures of him, and he's like, "That's not my nose."
One of my favorite scenes in all of Disney is the scene where they sing in the bar.
Oh my god, it's
I Got a Dream.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite parts.
It's so hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Another great female character is Moana.
Yes.
Yep. I have Peter Pan. We talked about. Another tandem that I love is Hero and Baymax.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but
Well,
sure.
I'm not a fan of it, but I thought they were kind of fun hero characters. Yeah. This one literally has a song in it called Zero to Hero, and that's Hercules.
Yeah.
My son loves the Hercules movies.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of it. This one was the closest one to making my list as a team, and that's The Incredibles.
Oh, yeah, they're like literal heroes.
Yes. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I thought it was cool. I'm a big comic book guy. I'm a big Marvel guy. But I think Incredibles 2 I liked more, and it kind of reminded me, hey, this is cool, because I really identified with that dad character, because, like, mom went off and had success, and that's good. Like, my wife has it does really well as like a professional artist, and she does really, really well. And it's kind of cool. Like, Dad hangs back and
Records a podcast.
he records the podcast, cooks the meals, and my wife is the awesome one. And that's good. But I don't have jealousy issues like he does. But anyway, so Incredibles were on my list. Did you have any honorable mentions? I actually wrote Incredibles twice. I'm not sure why.
Well, I mean, you probably wrote it twice because it needs to be put back into the park.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Hollywood Studios fixed that area.
Yeah, that area was a little bit better when it was kind of the entrance to Toy Story Mania.
Yeah.
Did you ever go there when the entrance to Toy Story Mania was there?
No, but my first year that I went to Hollywood Studios, that area was at least a little bit bustling because they had like they had the meet and greet with who's the woman?
Edna Mode.
Edna Mode was doing a meet and greet over there.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, the Incredibles would come out and just do some flexing down there at the end near that brick wall. And then they had Jack, hidden.
The statues were hidden around.
But I don't think they used that area that well. That's why you wrote it twice.
I think I wrote it twice because that was my way of representing Incredibles 2. It was just a creative way of doing Incredibles 2. Anyway, so Toy Story Mania was on the right. That was the entrance when you walk down kind of that Municipburg way.
Yeah.
To the right was the entrance. You could go through there still and walk around, like where there's the Incredibles logo on the wall. And I can't remember what was on the left. There was something there. I don't know if it was a gift shop or what it was. I think it was a Toy Story gift shop there. I'm trying to remember.
So my honorable mention would be Joy, or one of my honorable mentions would be Joy.
One. Joy's awesome. I love that movie.
That's a great movie.
Did they announce a sequel? I feel like that might. I'm going to look it up.
Yes, they did, but I can't remember if they announced when.
Keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
No, that's fine. So I think that Joy is awesome. I also think, and this is an interesting one because you didn't make our list, but think about who the greatest friend in all of Disney is. Who's everyone's best friend?
Christopher Robin.
Mickey.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And he's just the greatest friend. And I think
well, he's a hero a lot. Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Right. Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying he didn't make our list, and he was honorable mention for me because he is just the definition of a good friend. I think Goofy could possibly be that too.
Yes.
So I think that for me, other than Joy and Mickey, I also had Hercules on my honorable mention. My son was not happy that he didn't make my top 5.
Yeah.
But he asked me, he goes, "Hercules is your number 1, right?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "What?"
Generational.
Yeah, it is. It's it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie in my mind.
That's the beauty of the Diz list, is that that's R5 and
yeah. Do you have any heroes you think that they missed the mark on?
I could probably come up with a couple, but I don't have any on my list currently.
Yeah, no. I don't either. I was trying to think of when we do those dishonorable mentions, are there any dishonorable mentions? And I don't think I can really pinpoint a time where Disney completely missed the mark on a hero. I think that Tiana is another good one.
Oh yeah, good one.
But there's so many. When like I said, Simba was my number 1, and then I had to go through and really think about who I identified with, or who I looked at as being a hero for my child. So yeah.
One thing I do want to mention that I really would like to see more of is, if you're one of our regular listeners, and we love talking to you online, we love the interaction on social media, I really would love if other people could post their top 5 lists. I would love to see more of that. So this is kind of a call to action for our listeners. Go onto our social media, post your top 5. So when we do kind of our show artwork, that we will do different artwork every time, in case you haven't noticed. So when we do our show artwork and it's posted on social media, and it'll say, what are we on now? Episode 16 Heroes. Reply to us and say, "Here's my list," and do your top 5. We want to know if if you're not happy with our list and you think that Hercules should be number one, show us. We love that stuff.
Yeah.
And we look at it. We love our social media.
And we'll talk Disney all day with people. So
we do. We respond if you send us a message. If it's not me, it's Nick. Like, we'll go in and we respond and check. We have great conversations with some of our other Disney influencer friends on there. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. But yeah, just figured I would bring that up a little bit more often as a call to action. Please go online and interact. We love it. It means a lot to us. And I think other people too, who listen to our podcast, can comment and, not necessarily argue, but debate back and forth on their top 5 lists as well. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I really thank you guys for sticking with us today and listening to this one. I know it's a complete 180 from what we're usually about, which is, Walt Disney World, so the parks. But, Walt Disney World IP is a very big part of what we talk about. And we just really wanted to talk a little bit about our heroes from Disney. I'm really excited for the next show, which is the Villains show. So I'm really excited for that one. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
And tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.